back in early 2000, the board and the staff were doing strategic planning, and it just happened. I love serendipity. So serendipity happened in a beautiful way in 2001 when Charlie and Lessie Smithgall were also at the same time looking for some nonprofit organization that would take their home property and care for it in perpetuity for the good of the people of the state and visitors to the state. So they met with us, a marriage was made, and this beautiful piece of property was dedicated to become what we call the Smithgall Woodland Legacy. And it's now going to be the Atlanta Botanical Garden, Gainesville. And with that, they also gave us a $3 million endowment to make sure it was started right, and we matched that with 2. So not only does the new garden have a great parent, the Atlanta Botanical Garden, but we have a great foundation with a $5 million endowment.
It's 185 acres altogether. Ms. Smithgall is 104, and she has a life estate in 17 acres on the property, which we are delighted that she's still here and able to enjoy the opening of this garden with us. And in 2004, we built a 5,000 square foot greenhouse and a 4-acre nursery, and the idea was that we would begin to grow the plants that we would use in this garden as we developed it and worked towards opening it to the public. The display garden itself is very small. It's about 5 to 6 acres, but it's very intensively cultivated and very diverse. And I like to describe it almost like a jewel box. There are drifts of plants with small botanical pockets or interesting specimens planted among those drifts of perennials and ground covers and annuals. And we actually have over 1,300 different plants in this space, which is quite amazing. So very diverse. We also have a 2,000 seat amphitheater, which we're going to have concerts and family festivals, so that will be a lot of fun to activate the amphitheater, and a 5,000 square foot visitor center. So we are looking forward to opening to the public. Beauty is unique, and we like for this garden to be unique and distinctive from Atlanta. I think similarly, we will have the same excellence in horticulture, even though it's a smaller scale. We'll have the same wonderful programming, very similar programming to the programming we do in Atlanta, drop-in classes, family activities, story time for kids. We have a small train garden for children, just like we do in Atlanta. We'll also have concerts, as we do in Atlanta, special events, just like we do in Atlanta. We're going to have an event the last Thursday of every month, Wine in the Woodlands, so come out from 6 to 9, have a glass of wine, and enjoy seeing the garden in the evening light. And in terms of differences, I think the Atlanta garden has a very urban feel. We call it an urban oasis. And the garden up here has a much more relaxed feel, very quiet. We have this incredible hardwood canopy that we created the garden in amongst the trees, so very quiet, relaxed feeling.
We talk about choreography a lot. How do we have the plants change and move through the seasons, but also through the years, to help people feel, particularly in a woodland of that scale, that they're in a human-scaled space, so that they're not just wandering in the woods, but going through a series of distinctly different garden spaces and horticultural experiences. So what we began looking at was how did we use evergreen plants to help define those spaces, create views to and from the spaces so you felt you got a hit of what was next, but it's more like a strip tease. We didn't want everyone to see everything at once. So very carefully, where did we block views and where did we want to let the views open? So then to get people to stop in each area, we started thinking about what plant palette we wanted to use in each garden, because we didn't want to use the same plants over and over again. And we also had to think about what plants did we pick up there that weren't repeating what we have in the Atlanta garden. Right. So between the two, we expand our collections of plants as well as display. So coming up with colors and themes and fragrance themes for each room, garden area really allowed us to then build a very rich plant palette. I think Mildred and I probably placed every plant on that 12 acres, approved the location or set it down ourselves, which was a lot of fun. So it's a public garden, but we designed it and installed it like you would an estate private garden. So it has that feeling.
I think long-term the vision is we have several gardens that we'd like to create. The next phase would be a children's garden. We hope to begin raising money for that as soon as we open and hope to begin construction in 2016, all things going well. We also have plans for a beautiful stream garden, and the other great thing about this property that you don't get in Atlanta is topography. So the property actually drops 120 feet from this ridge line that we're sitting on, this ridge where the garden is right now, drops 120 feet down to the shores of Lake Lanier. So we want to take advantage of that, create some beautiful waterfalls and pools, and accent that with native plants and ferns along the edges of the stream. We also hope to create a native plant garden in itself. And then the other thing that this property has allowed us to do is expand our native plant conservation work. We have a large conservation nursery on another part of the property, so it's allowed us to expand that work as well. So long term, there's 185 acres, and future generations will still be working on this, I'm sure.
We started this discussion with the Smithgalls 13 years ago. So it's really a special moment in time to go from the dream to the reality. And it's a beautiful reality.